In April 2014, two young Dutch students, Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, set off for a short hike on the Pianista trail in Boquete, Panama. They were experienced, they were prepared, and they were only supposed to be gone for a few hours. But they never returned. What followed was one of the most baffling disappearances in modern history. It wasn't just that they vanished, it was what was found 10 weeks later. A backpack, perfectly preserved, containing a camera with 90 chilling photos taken in total darkness, and phone logs that showed a week-long struggle for survival. Today, we're diving deep into the digital breadcrumbs left behind in the Panamanian jungle. Was this a tragic accident, or is there a darker truth hidden in the static of those night photos? Kris, who was 21, and Lisanne, 22, arrived in Panama in March 2014. They were there to volunteer with children and learn Spanish. After a few weeks of frustration with their volunteer program being delayed, they decided to take a break and explore the beautiful cloud forests of Boquete. On April 1st, at approximately 11 a.m., they headed toward the Pianista trail. They weren't alone, they were accompanied by a local dog belonging to the owners of the restaurant at the trailhead. They even posted photos to social media before they left, looking happy and excited for their adventure. But by that very evening, the first chilling sign of trouble appeared. The dog returned to the restaurant trailhead, alone. By April 6, 2014, just 5 days after they went missing, their parents arrived in Panama. They didn't come alone, they brought Dutch police, search dogs, and specialized detectives. They were desperate to find their daughters while there was still hope. For days, there was no sign of Kris or Lisanne. On June 14, 2014, exactly 10 weeks after the disappearance, a local woman found a blue backpack in a rice paddy along the Culebra River, miles from where the girls went missing. Inside were 2 pairs of sunglasses, $83 in cash, the girls' passports, a water bottle, Lisanne's camera, and both of their phones. Incredibly, everything was dry and in good condition, almost pristine, despite being in a tropical rainforest during the rainy season. How could a backpack survive 10 weeks in such a harsh environment and remain so clean? Thanks to the metadata on their Canon PowerShot camera, which was later recovered, we can reconstruct their final known hours with an unsettling level of detail. The photos begin on a bright, sunny day. The girls look happy, smiling for the camera, surrounded by lush greenery. At 1 p.m. they reached the Mirador, the summit of the trail, a popular viewpoint. This is where most tourists turn back. The trail beyond the summit is not for tourists. It's a treacherous, often unmarked path used by locals to cross the continental divide. For some reason, Kris and Lisanne kept walking. They ventured past the point of no return. A photo taken at 1:54 p.m. shows them descending into the dense, untamed wilderness on the other side of the mountain. This was the last picture of them alive. Just 2 hours later, at 4:39 p.m., the first call to 112, the Dutch emergency number, was placed from Kris's iPhone. 12 minutes later, Lisanne's Samsung tried the same. Both calls failed due to a lack of signal. They were now officially lost, swallowed by the jungle. For the next few days, the phone logs tell a harrowing story of desperation and survival. They tried calling emergency services multiple times every morning and evening, a methodical pattern suggesting they were conserving battery and trying to catch a fleeting signal. Then, on April 6, something strange happened. Someone tried to log into Kris's phone, but they entered the wrong PIN code several times. Was it Kris, her fingers too weak to type, her mind clouded by exhaustion and starvation? Or was it someone else trying to gain access to her phone? The question hangs in the air. Between April 7th and 10th, there were an incredible 77 emergency call attempts from both phones. On April 11th, Lisanne's phone was turned on for the last time at 10:51 a.m., and never turned on again. The digital trail of their struggle had gone cold. Then, we have the night photos. This is perhaps the most disturbing piece of the puzzle. Between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. on April 8th, exactly 1 week after they disappeared, 90 photos were taken in the span of 3 hours. That's 1 photo every 2 minutes, in the dead of night, in complete darkness. Most of the images are almost entirely black. A few, however, offer haunting glimpses into their final days. One shows rocks and twigs. Another shows a strange SOS marker made of toilet paper and a mirror placed on a rock. And then there's the most famous shot, a blurry close-up of the back of Kris's head, showing her hair. Were they trying to use the camera flash as a light source to navigate treacherous terrain, or perhaps to tend to an injury? Or were they trying to signal a search helicopter they might have heard in the distance? The true purpose of these 90 photos remains one of the case's most profound mysteries. For 10 long weeks, the jungle kept its silence. The official search had been called off. and hope was fading, and what they found next was gruesome. Over the following weeks, search parties recovered 33 bone fragments scattered along the river. They found a pelvis bone, a rib, and most chillingly, Lisanne's foot, still inside her hiking boot. Forensic analysis of the remains revealed something deeply strange. Lisanne's bones still had skin attached, showing a state of normal decomposition for the environment, but Kris's bones were stark white, they had been bleached. Experts argued that this kind of bleaching usually takes years to occur naturally, or requires intervention with chemicals like lime. This stark difference in the condition of their remains deepened the mystery and fueled speculation. To this day, there are two main schools of thought on what happened to Kris and Lisanne. The lost theory is the official explanation. It suggests they simply got lost after passing the Mirador, perhaps slipped and fell off one of the precarious monkey bridges that cross the river gorges in the area. One or both of them could have been injured, and they ultimately succumbed to the elements and starvation. In this scenario, the jungle is the killer. It is unforgiving, and the night photos were a desperate attempt to find their way in the dark or signal for help. The river currents could explain how their remains and the backpack were scattered over a wide area. Then there is the foul play theory. Proponents of this view believe the evidence just doesn't add up for a simple accident. They point to the clean backpack, the bleached bones, and the suspicious PIN code errors on the phone as evidence of a third party's involvement. They argue that someone could have intercepted the girls on the trail, held them captive, and later disposed of their bodies and belongings to make it look like an accident. In this version of events, the night photos take on a more sinister meaning. Were they taken by a captor, or were they taken by the girls themselves while being hunted or held against their will? The back of Kris's head photo is often cited as evidence she was injured by an attacker. We may never know the full truth. The Panamanian authorities officially closed the case, ruling the deaths a tragic hiking accident. But for the families and for thousands of investigators online, the digital evidence and the strange condition of the remains leave too many questions unanswered. It's a haunting puzzle of two friends, a beautiful forest, and a mystery that was captured, frame by frame, in the dark. What do you think happened on the El Pianista trail? Let me know your theories in the comments and subscribe for more deep dives into unsolved cases. Thanks for watching.